Hello, it's Amy with Just a Little Ink. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! And today I'd love to share with you a card I had made a while back for a swap. It uses the Light the Sky stamp set and coordinating die set. I'm not using the die set with this card, but it comes with that. And those are carryover items that have been in our September to December mini catalog that has already hit a lot of things on retired list status. Many are selling out, but that is still going to be available beyond the end of the publication. I'm also pairing it with The Biggest Wish to make this a birthday card and not just a New Year's card. So kind of showing you some other options that would work. So with all of that said, let's jump right in. So this is the finished card. You open up, and I've stamped on the inside. And I'm going to move my computer out of it just a little bit further. So I'm going to kind of get going here. What you are going to need for this project, you're going to need a half a sheet of Starry Sky cardstock. It is cut 5.5 by 8.5 inches. You're going to need 2 pieces of basic white, 4 by 5 1/4. You'll also want a piece of the Stargazing Designer Series paper. This is Designer Series paper that is in our annual catalog, and it works so well for this technique. And we're going to do some embossing on it. You'll want a piece of basic white cardstock. This is about 3 1/8 by 2 1/2, and I've cut it out using one of the dies out of the Nested Essentials dies. I also cut a piece of the Glimmer paper, and I believe this has retired, but there are other options for a glimmery background. This was something that was in our online exclusives at the time that I did this card. And it's also cut using one of the dies out of the Nested Essentials dies. So then I'm going to be using the heat tool. I'm going to be using the gold, silver, and copper embossing powders. Those are in our metallics embossing powders. And because this is a photopolymer stamp, I'm going to use my Pierce mat. And I have cut my Pierce mat down because it's just a user size that's easier for me when I'm doing, especially videoing. And we're going to just start out with stamping this greeting. So to kind of show you some illuminating. I'm going to use Starry Sky ink. Pull that out. And what I found works pretty well. You could use washi and cover up, but because it's a pretty clean line on this stamp, I'm just going to line it up onto the ink pad and just avoid inking up the new year. So I'm going to get it in my view here. Sometimes this is the more challenging part of it. So I'm going to stamp wishing you a happy. Off that fleck of cardstock there. We'll clean that later. And then I've got birthday, the cursive version. You could use the solid one, but I kind of liked how it work together. And so we're going to come in, and I'm going to grab up high enough. Have birthday in here, so that I've got wishing you a happy birthday. And then we'll set that part aside while we work on embossing. So I'm going to pull that out. I am using the embossing buddy that can be found in the add-on little toolkit that's in the catalog. It's in our annual catalog. And all the products I'm using I will link in the description of this video. So. But the buddy gets off any fingerprint oils that might be on the Designer Series papers or cardstocks as you are inking things. It kind of sometimes your fingers tend to have oils in them, and so that will hold the powder. And so you want to have some powder across the top to get that off. And so I'm going to start with using my Versamark, and I've got all my little bursts of fireworks. I'm going to stamp on this end. Kind of have a system I'm doing here, and I'm going to grab a smaller one. I'm going to put it on the opposite corner. And those two, I'm going to cover my ink pad. Always a good idea when you are embossing. I keep all of my powders in old sandwich tubs. I find that helps. Just keep them where I can scoop in and tap easier than pouring out a bottle. So, especially ones I'm using all the time. So I'm going to powder those up. Then I'm going to lay it back down and put the silver powder away. I'm going to grab some other stamps and grab out the Versamark ink again. And I'm going to come and I'm going to grab for this one, I'm going to put a little burst up here. And I've got a different one. I could use the same, but I'm going to come in here and put another burst over here. Okay, cover my ink again just so I don't get powder on it. This time I'm going to grab out the gold powder. Scoot in here. Come on the opposite corner. So again, put the powder away. And then one last time, I'm going to grab out the Versamark pad, and I just got this little tiny spurt. And I'm going to put one down here, well, 3 of these. Over here, you could do more. On this one, I might put one over here. We'll do 4. And set that aside. We're done with Versamark, and I'm going to grab the copper. You'll notice I've got an old plastic spoon in here. At times, that can come in real handy. But I'm going to try to just do this way. Tap off, keeping my fingers away from any place I've got ink. Okay, I've got one more. See if I can slide it over here since it was on the end. All right. So then the magic comes in, because that's where I'm going to slide this off. I'm going to take my heat tool, and it could get a little noisy. We'll see if I've got it far enough over. While we heat it up, and you're going to heat it just long enough for that powder to melt. And when it starts to become shiny, you know that you've heated it long enough. If you keep heating beyond that shine, you are going to burn the powder into the paper. So I'm going to try to move. I kind of tend to keep wiggling. You want to not hover too long on any of the powder. And you notice I kept that center open. It's because it doesn't matter. So I'm going to come across. How fast this is. I just loved how this looked on this paper. I know the paper currently, when I looked earlier today, was on short supply. So popular, but it's in our annual catalog. It will be available again. So okay, I'm going to fold this over. I've already scored it at 5 1/4 inches on the Starry Sky. Use my bone folder to give a nice crisp fold. Then I told you I had 2 of these pieces of basic white. I'm going to take my embossed piece, put some Stampin' seal across, and this should be just big enough. I don't think I told you the size on this piece of Designer Series paper. So I will tell you that in just a second. I do have it written down. Again, all of the measurements that I have used, I will post in the description of this video. And you can find this again on my blog, justalittleink.com. The Stargazing Designer Series paper was 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. So again, and this is all going down flat. It makes a fairly flat card, which I like. It keeps it easier for mailing. So just an even border around. Fairly a quick card to put together, really. Then my Glimmer paper, and this had just a little bit. This is a adhesive backed. The rest of our papers, our Glimmer, are not. So I think they could still be really pretty and reach across to throw that away. All right. So this I stuck in the center, and we're going to kind of eyeball. If you're worried about it being exact, you certainly could measure. And sometimes I am that anal. Push it down. I want some dimensionals on the back, and when I have handy, let's see, I do have some regular dimensionals. Stick one in the corner. You certainly, if you're trying to save, you can split them. Time's sake, I'm not going to do that. Like so, and then throw my green on the front. I'll let that little bit of glimmer show from underneath. Like so, and then we have the inside. So again, I'm going to pull out my pierce mat. I'm going to get my Simply Chamois out just enough to kind of clean, because I don't need this one. I do want, however, this one. So, set that out of the way for the moment. All right, and what I have for this one, I'm putting on the inside 2 other colors. Let's get this color out of the way. We're going to use Berry Burst and Orchid Oasis. Okay. So I'm going to ink it up. I'm going to grab just what I have out. Just take it, stamp it off lightly. And I'm going to come up, grab one burst here. And I've got the second one. Put that out of the way so we aren't inking things up. We don't need inked. I'll grab Berry Burst and then do the same thing. I'm going to ink at full strength, stamp it off once, and then kind of offset just a little bit. Like so. Put Berry Burst away. And then I'm going to put back out that Starry Sky. Like so. And I have the stamp. This is out of our Light the Sky stamp set, one that says Let's Celebrate, because that works well for birthdays. So I'm going to come in mostly centered, stamp it on there, close my ink pad, and assemble the inside, and that is going to be it. If you have enjoyed watching this video, I'd be so appreciative if you would subscribe, like, and share. I'd love to hear your comments of what you think of this fun, simple card. It's been a while since I've done embossing, and so it was fun to pull out my embossing powders. I hope that you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks again.